What's up, YouTube? This is No Budget Duelist here, bringing you the first edition of my new series that I'm going to entitle Oldies but Goodies. Oldies but Goodies is going to be a series where I take old cards and put them into somewhat new decks. Like this episode, I'm going to be taking original cards that were around since the first structure deck came out and put them into a Morphtronic deck. And then I'll show you how they work in there. So, the two cards I'm going to be highlighting in this video are Curse of Anubis and Ceasefire. And yeah, so let's get right into the meat of this thing. So, Curse of Anubis, what it does is when you activate it, all face-up effect monsters on the field are changed to defense position. Their defense becomes 0, and they can't change their battle positions for the rest of the turn, assuming that card effects will allow them to do so. So, I think that card effects will allow them to change again this turn, but they just can't change their own battle position of their own free will. Then Ceasefire is probably a little more. You probably know what it does. Flips all face-down monsters on the field face up, and flip effects don't activate. So that means, like, you stop Raikou, but you don't stop Snowman Eater, because technically Snowman Eater activates when it's flip face up, but it's not a flip effect. So that would kind of suck against a Snowman Eater. But, yeah. Then you inflict 500 damage to your opponent for every monster on the field. Well, every effect monster on the field, which all Morphtronics are effect monsters, which is nice. So, first, I'm going to get into Curse of Anubis plays. So let's, say you have Borden, Radion, and Magna now. Or, like, let's say you have 2 Magnans, a Borden, and a Radion. Or you have some, like, some alteration of a Borden and a Magnan. You either have a Borden and a Magnan, or 2 Magnans. You have that somewhere on your field, and then you could have any other monsters on there. So, yeah. So let's say you just tried to go for game, and you didn't have enough damage, which I don't believe this here has enough damage, because it's 1836, 51. I know, I'm adding 1,000. It's 1632, 13, that's 45, that's 18, that's 55, that's 6,300 damage, so that's not enough for game. So let's say you inflicted 6,300 damage this turn. They didn't do anything about it. And then you end your turn, and now it's their turn. So what they're probably going to do is that they don't have any destruction cards. They're just going to try to run over your monsters. So what do? Curse of Anubis. It changes all your monster defense mode. Yeah, it makes their defense 0, but it doesn't matter because now Magnan's on the field, and you have an attack lock now. They can't attack anything. So that's basically the main combo in the deck. This happens basically every duel unless you lose in like the second turn. So that's always a nice little plus to a card. And I personally only have 2 of that card, so I only run 2. And the next card is, I'm going to take those 2 away, Ceasefire. And but you really only use Ceasefire face down, right? So, let's say you have Magnan in defense mode face up, or you have Borden on the field face up in defense. What you would do is you set the other one, doesn't matter which one it is, and then during your opponent's turn, you Ceasefire. Now, why would you Ceasefire? Maybe you're only going to do 1,000 damage with it, but that doesn't matter. What you want is your effects to activate. Because now, you just did like 1,000, 1,500, 2,000 damage to your opponent, and you made an attack lock. Which is, that's basically one of the goals in a Morphtronic deck, to make an attack lock. Yeah, so that stops opponents' attacks. Well, this doesn't stop opponents' attacks. The only way they could actually operate off of this exact lock here is if they had monsters with piercing, or if they were able to do some destruction. But the destruction stopping in this deck comes from Force Field and Starlight Road. Morphtronic Force Field is nice because, I'm going to read it real quick. Negate the activation of a spell or trap that would destroy a face-up Morphtronic monster you control and destroy it, and then add 1 Morphtronic card from your deck to your hand. So that searches out any of your Morphtronic monsters or Morphtronic map, or maybe another force field if you wanted to. And then Starlight Road for stopping Dark Hole, Heavy Storm, Black Rose, blah 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 blah. Yeah, so that's basically ways to get off your effects and also to prevent your opponent from stopping you from getting off your effects. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope, and also comment, rate, subscribe. Make sure you tell me in the comments below what you kind of want to see. Maybe you want me to go searching around for old support for a deck. I don't know. But just like put a deck below, and I'll find one, and I'll pick a deck, and then I'll find some cool, awesome, random, obscure, old support for it that could work. And yeah, then that will be the next episode. So have a nice day, YouTube.